What does a boat look like when you design it from scratch to be solar electric? Not a weekend boat, but a full-time home. We rethought everything, the systems, the layout, how we're going to live on this boat. This isn't a boat that we bought off the shelf. Let me show you inside. Hi, I'm Tess. My husband Rob and I designed and are building a solar electric catamaran. We designed the propulsion system, the electrical system, the full communications, and programmed the software to make it all run. Our first video got way more attention than we thought it would. I made it for friends and family and colleagues who already knew about the project. So I did what nerds do. Jump straight into the tech stuff.
See, the driver hooks a function by patching the system call table, so it's not safe to unload it unless another thread's about to jump in there and do its stuff, and you don't want to end up in the middle of invalid memory. Hello?
But we underestimated you. We got tons and tons of comments asking for more details about us and about the boat. So I thought, before we make any more videos, we need to show people the boat itself. And that's what this video is. To help you understand some of the decisions we made, I have to give you a little bit of context. Rob has been chronically ill for over 10 years now. He has very limited stamina. He is sensitive to noise, light, vibration, smells. And there's definitely a bigger story there, which might share at some point. But what you need to know for this video is that it shaped everything with this boat, why it's solar electric, why we have so much automation, and why every space had to work for the way that we live. And when we started this project, we still had 2 teenagers at home. They were going to be living on board with us, so that changed things as well. Let me show you what we came up with. Here's our boat. It's a 68-foot catamaran. That means it's almost 21 metres long. It's just over 11 metres wide, and it has a draft of about 1.2 metres. We're made out of vacuum-infused fiberglass. That makes it much lighter, but we're still big, so we're expecting around 40 metric tonnes all done. We've got 3 main levels. The Flybridge is at the top, and that's our main outdoor entertaining area. Then the main deck has the salon and our main living area. And then in the hulls on both sides, we have cabins. Now, quick orientation, if you're not a boat person, the front of the boat is called the bow, the stern is the back, port is left, and starboard is right. When we bought the boat, it came with a proposed layout, but we really had to redesign it, not just for our solar electric propulsion, but also for the way that we live. We're going to be living full-time on board with 2 teenagers. So we had very different needs than a standard boat that might be on charter or only used occasionally. The first change we made was to add solar, lots of it. The more power we can generate, the faster and further we can travel on our electric propulsion. We replaced the Flybridge roof with a grid of bifacial solar panels. So that's solar panels where they can absorb energy from the top, but also from the bottom, which is perfect on a boat because you've got a lot of reflected light from the ocean. We also added a very large solar wing off the back. Again, more bifacial panels to get that reflected light. And then we adjusted the shape of the front of the salon roof so that we could get 10 standard panels in there as well instead of the original 6. In total, we have just shy of 24 kilowatts peak of solar. We could definitely fit more, and it's on the cards. But for now, until the boat's ready, that's where we're staying. How we'll store all of that energy is a whole other story, so that's coming in future videos. Here's what it looks like in real life. You can see the roof here and the wing, but let's jump on board and get a really good look. Now, to help you orient yourself, I'm currently standing at the back on the port side of the boat, facing the front, and the solar wing is behind me. You'll see that the solar roof and wing are really quite prominent here. Obviously, the panels aren't installed yet. Solar panel efficiency gets better and better over time, so we'll buy our panels right before the boat gets launched. And then, of course, apart from getting max efficiency, we'll also want to get some panels that look pretty decent, given that how in your face they are in this area. Now, while we're here, let's take a look at the rest of the Flybridge. It's pretty much a very multi-purpose area. It's our entertaining space, but it's also our main helm for where we'll drive the boat. Let's go back up to the front of the Flybridge and the helm. Now, with the helm, we used a fair bit of artistic license. We went for a bit of a sci-fi look, but it couldn't just look cool. We had to have it functional. I spent quite a lot of time here planning the proportions, what goes where, making sure that the ergonomics worked. So like little scale models, checking sight lines, how far your arms reach, whether it works sitting and standing. Pretty over the top, but if you saw our last video, that's probably not a surprise. We're physicists, so that's kind of how we roll.
I said there.
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Here we go.
In the winter, that seat is close enough to the radiator to remain warm and yet not so close as to cause perspiration. In the summer, it's directly in the path of a cross breeze created by opening windows there and there. It faces the television at an angle that is neither direct, thus discouraging conversation, nor so far wide as to create a parallax distortion.
Even though we are pedantic and very detail-oriented, we didn't actually start out hands-on on the design. Initially, we just let the boat builder do all the drawings and we told them what we wanted. There's a complication that led us down that path, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. In the meantime, here's a shot of Rob at the helm trying it out after it got built, and then here's one once it got painted. We have two big screens on the helm here. One will be for our propulsion control system that we featured in our last video, and the other one will be our chart plotter, our radar, those sorts of things. Now, right up against the helm here on the port side, we've got a bit of a lounge. This is mostly for Rob. When we're underway, if he's not well enough to drive, but he does want company and can be out with us, he can lay here. The rest of the Flybridge is dedicated to enjoying the outdoors. We have an outdoor barbecue and bar area on the starboard side. Being Aussies, we take our barbecues and outdoor kitchens pretty seriously, so there was never any doubt we dedicate some serious space to that. Right behind that is the dining area, which will have some folding tables and loose chairs. And then on the port side, we have a sun lounge and a little seating area. I spent a fair bit of time on the design here, just rearranging things, trying to come up with a layout where we'd have everything that we wanted, but it didn't feel cluttered. We wanted this kind of big open area in the middle. If you look at my render, you'll see kind of what we're going for. The floor here is going to be like a flexi teak, which is a synthetic teak, very low maintenance. The built-in furniture you can see is a dark grey, and then the cushions themselves will be a kind of a soft mid-grey to give a kind of really calming look and feel. Let's go back downstairs now and check out the main level. So we're now on the main level at the back of the boat with a soloing above us. In boat terms, this area is called the cockpit. This area is where you first come on board. You step onto one of the platforms at the back, the sugar scoops, climb up the stairs into this area. So if we're walking up the port side, what you'll first see is a cabinet and some storage space under the stairs. The top part of the stairs kind of forms the lid. This is going to be our scuba station. So we'll have bottles stored under the stairs. We have a compressor and all our dive gear. That's really nice because it's so close to the water. It's really easy to rinse and store everything, and we don't have to carry the bottles very far. Rob already had his scuba certification and he may or may not be able to scuba anyway, but the kids and I got our certifications in preparation, so we really can't wait to use this. On the starboard side, I added a dedicated fishing station. That's really Rob's zone. It's only partially built, so if you look at the render here, you get a better sense of what it is. A live bait well, sink, and a prep board for cutting up the fish. I really hate the stink and mess of fishing and fish prep, so my logic was give him a station outside. He can make a mess and I can hose it down when he's done. Now, if you're familiar with boats, you might notice some stuff missing here. Most boats will have an outdoor dining or lounges in the cockpit. Apart from our scuba station and our fishing station, we have nothing in our cockpit. Having dining and lounging out here is perfect when it's great weather, when you have lots of people on board and you need to spread out. But we're a liveaboard boat. The weather's not always nice.
Queensland summer. Oh yeah.
And we already have Flybridge for outdoor entertaining. So one of the big changes we made is we moved the back wall of the salon as far back as we could without impacting the structure of the boat. We also widened the opening here and added a bifold door that spans pretty much the entire width of the salon. That means we have a clear and unobstructed view of wherever we are. The thought was that if Rob is housebound, if he's stuck on the couch, at least we can make the view out the window change, compared to the never-changing view at the window at home. Just quickly before we go inside the salon, I'll just make a quick mention of our tender platform. Not been installed yet, but here's what it will look like. It moves up and down. When we're on passage, the tender will be stored here with the platform all the way to the top. But when you're on anchor, you drop the platform, drop the tender in the water, and you can bring the platform back up again with these handrails to the back of the platform, and then we have this big outdoor entertaining area. So even though we have a small cockpit, we actually still have great space. Now let's go inside. We'll jump back into the footage from where we were standing next to the scuba station on the port side. As we pan towards the right, you'll see the stairs that lead up to the Flybridge, and then we have the big open where the bifold door is to enter the salon. The salon is our main living area. It's open plan with a galley. On the port side, big full-size fridge because hungry teenagers.
Snack time!
Dining table, and then a couch that faces out through the bifold doors. It's an L shape. Here it is from another angle. You can see the galley better. Here's a render to give you a sense of what the actual final will look like. If we look at the starboard side of the salon, you can see that the couch will be here at the back of the boat. Towards the front, you can see that elliptical dining bench, ready for the table and some loose chairs to be added. And then on the port side, you can see the island bench and then the rest of the galley behind that. If you look at the render, you can get a sense of what it will look like. This is going to be a pretty heavily used area, so I worked hard to try and create as much space as we could. Getting this right was harder than it looks. We do have a big boat and it's really easy to waste space. Another complication we had was that it turned out that the boat was not as drawn.
Well, that's not good.
So while we thought we had a room for an island bench, we didn't actually. But we really, really wanted an island bench. We have one at home. It works super well. People can be cooking and other people can be helping or talking or engaging in conversation. The boat builder did find a solution, but it meant we lost all of the space around the bench. But Rob and I are problem solvers. We knew there had to be a solution. Every 10 centimetres here or there would add up. It just takes time to pick through and optimise the design. And while the builder didn't have that time, we did. So we were about 2 years into the project at this point. The interior fit-out was just starting. And as a concession, the builder actually let us take full control of the design. They'd seen how we worked and were confident that we could come up with something. They basically said, if you draw it, we'll build it. Now we took that and ran with it.
I mean, how hard can it be?
If you saw our previous video, you know we were very detail-oriented and not scared to get our hands dirty. I learned Fusion 360. We designed everything to fit the real dimensions of our boat. So how did we get the island bench in? Firstly, to explain how they fit cabins into the narrow hulls of a catamaran. Here's a slice through one of our hulls. It's the starboard hull. This is our master cabin, and I'll give you a full tour of it in a minute. But for now, just focus on the floor and the bed. Catamaran hulls are very narrow. Narrow is good because it means it's easier for the boat to move through the water. But that comes at a cost of floor space in your cabins. For example, the width of the floor here from the base of the stairs to the cabinets is just 1.3 metres. So to work around that, catamaran designers will push a bed into the space between the hulls. That's why catamarans often have these big, high platform beds. But that means that to still be able to sit up straight in bed, you need to borrow space from the salon, resulting in these platform areas around the perimeter. Initially, our bed was kind of under the dining table area and the ensuite was at the back of the boat. We flipped it and then reconfigured the ensuite. That meant we could push that dining area right up to close to the windows and give us that extra 700mm that we needed to add the island bench. That's just one example. We obviously made a whole bunch of different little changes. Builder was also very happy with how much space we've been able to squeeze out of their base design. Now, we've created all this lovely space around the island, but that's going to do double duty. Under the floor here is going to be where our batteries live. We're a solar electric yacht. We have almost 1.6 tons of batteries. Hard to grasp how much that actually is, but I'll talk about that more in our next video. Last thing here in the salon is at the front we have a second helm station. That'll be for night passages or when it's raining. It also doubles up as a computer desk. Then there's a door here next to the helm that leads out to the bow. Here we've got a lovely little sitting area. I kind of imagine this space being where you make a coffee in the morning and you go out here and enjoy it in the sun. Also got a few sun lounges here. Obviously not for me with this skin, but for Rob or for our guests. What you can't see in this area is our spa. We kind of ummed and ahed for a while about whether we would add a spa. It takes lots of power and lots of water, but there's going to be times, particularly when we go to Northern Australia, where you just don't want to go in the water.
A little tiny croc just above my finger there, on that rock shelf. See the little mangrove?
That is not a tiny croc.
Is it not?
The other thing that's up here is our kite sail. The kite's going to help us when we try and do long passages or particular ocean passages where we need a lot of continuous electric power. It's going to have a removable pole, so it won't be here generally, but when we want it, we can pop it up. Rob has grand plans to turn this kite into power generation, but lots of ideas, not a lot of time, and with Rob's help, that'll probably be a project for me at some point when we move onto the boat. Let's go back inside now and go check out the cabins. We've got 5 cabins, 3 on the port side and 2 on the starboard side, and the master being on the starboard. Let's start with the forward cabins. We designed these 2 cabins to suit our teens, give them each their own private space and somewhere to do their schoolwork. Here's the layout of the port forward cabin. They've got a bed on the inboard side and then a desk on the outboard side. Each of the forward cabins also has its own small bathroom. Indulgent, yes, but there's unused space in those bow peaks, and making the teens clean up their own mess is a dream. The forward cabin on the starboard side, just a mirror image, so I'll just pan through that really quickly. You'll see the windows in our cabins are really nice and big, so the cabins will be nice and bright. There's also an overhead hatch in each cabin that will give even more light and some ventilation. Let's go check out the guest cabins next. We have 2 guest cabins. They're on the port side and they're connected together with a shared bathroom. Let's walk down from the salon to the main guest cabin. It's got a queen bed, nice big window, some storage. We lost a fair bit of storage in this area, but I think we still have enough for guests. If we turn around and look back up the stairs at the salon, you might see on the right-hand side an outline of a door, and we decided to turn this into a dedicated electrical room. It's great because it means we can stand upright in this area. Moving forward now, we come into the head or the bathroom for the guests. In the original design, this was actually 2 independent heads, one for each of the cabins, but they were really tiny, so I've actually combined them into a single larger shared bathroom. Also means that we can put our washer and dryer in this space. Continuing forward into the midship cabin, the second guest cabin. This was initially going to be a double bunk cabin. So the idea was that we could either have guests in here, or if we had more people on board, we could actually get our teens to move into this cabin and free up their 2 queen beds. But we're now 4.5 years into this build. Our teens are now young adults. One's moved out of home and the other one is not far behind. They won't be living on board with us anymore. So our forward cabins now are actually guest cabins. So what we did was we partially reclaimed this bunk cabin for our own purposes. So it's going to be our workshop where we can do boat maintenance, work on various things. We replaced the bunk beds with a workbench, but I added a Murphy bed, so when we're at capacity, we can actually fold a bed down over the workbench and someone can use it as a cabin. If we exit the workshop, we turn right and that brings us back up into the salon. Let's go check out the master cabin now. We've got our own private access. There's a little stairway between the couch and the dining area. Now, if we walk down those stairs and look towards the rear or the stern of the boat, we've got cabinetry along the windows. But you can get a real feel for how large these windows are. They're not tall, but they're super wide. They're as big as we could get and still keep our ocean rating. On the inboard side, we've got our bed, and you'll notice that it's nicely at window height. So we have a lovely view when we wake up in the morning. And right at the back, you'll see I've added a kind of a funky built-in lounge, ergonomically designed, of course. It's somewhere Rob can rest away from all the activity and noise when things get too much for him. If we turn around now and look forward, we can see the master ensuite. It's not as wide as the bed area. Remember, we cut into this space for the dining, but there's still plenty of room in here. We've got a vanity, a shower, separate toilet, and some clothes storage. Rob and I are still debating the mirror situation here. Rob doesn't want to block the beautiful view, so we've ended up with this angled head height mirror. I've done the numbers, physics works, but there's just something nice about having a mirror at eye level. So stay tuned for who gets their way with this one.
Happy Hunger Games.
And may the odds be ever in your favour.
Now, the one area that we haven't looked at yet is the engine rooms. The access for these is pretty standard. 2 hatches in the cockpit, 1 on each hull. There's not a lot to see here yet, just a few things have been installed, some pumps and our water maker. Our drivetrain hasn't been installed yet, they're currently working on that, but it did force us to make a change to the boat itself. That's more obvious from the outside though, so let's go have a look. You might have noticed in some of our footage that our sugar scoops got longer at some point. We added a meter to the back of the boat. Why? The original boat was designed for diesel, so the engine rooms are sized to fit a diesel engine, marine gearbox and all the other bits and pieces. But we're a solar electric boat and we have a parallel hybrid drivetrain, which means that we have to fit also in our electric motors and another clutch so that our diesels are offline most of the time. Doing that makes it too long to fit into the engine bay. There are a couple of options for working around this issue. The most common solution is to use a V-drive, which basically you turn the engine around and then double the drive shaft over itself to exit the boat. But it's harder to align and harder to maintain. So when we talked to the builder about it, they actually decided that it would be easier for them to extend the hulls by 1 metre. And we were super happy with that solution because it also meant that we could add propeller tunnels. And those are those round moon-shaped cutouts that you see in the back of the hull. Tunnels are really helpful for us. We can run larger props. When you're running solar electric, efficiency is everything. We don't care about top speed, we care about efficiency at cruising speed. And the ideal prop size is a lot larger than we would have fit if we hadn't had the propeller tunnels. Also, because you have these tunnels, the water ends up flowing horizontally at the point where it hits the propeller, which means more of the thrust provided by the propeller actually goes to forward movement of the boat, again, increasing efficiency. Let me know in the comments if you want a deeper dive on our propulsion and our tunnel design, how we optimised it for max efficiency at cruising speed, because it's quite different to how you normally design a power cat. So that's our boat. Still very much under construction, but hopefully you can see where we're going with it. and why we decided to do what we did. In our next video, we're going to talk about our battery design. We're using blade batteries in our boat, and as far as we know, we're the first boat that will actually use blade batteries. They're a really compelling option, particularly if you're worried about fire on boats, which for an electric boat is definitely a design consideration. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.